Aurora Prime was a planet of extremes. Vast deserts stretched like golden oceans, interrupted only by jagged mountains and deep canyons carved by ancient storms. Life here was not easy. Humans had only begun to build colonies in scattered domes, protected from the harsh winds and dust storms that could swallow a city in hours. But despite the danger, it was a place full of opportunity for those brave enough to take it. Lyra Vance was one of those people. She was tall, with sharp eyes that always seemed to be analyzing, measuring, calculating. Her hands were rough from years of working with machines, yet they moved with a grace that belied their strength. Lyra had built her reputation, not by pleasing society, but by refusing to bend to its rules. On Aurora Prime, that meant ignoring the so-called marriage contracts agreements that tied young colonists to partners chosen by families or councils, supposedly to ensure survival and social harmony. Most people whispered about Lyra behind her back. "Untamable for marriage," they said, shaking their heads. "She will never settle down." To Lyra, it was amusing. She did not mind the gossip. She was far too busy to waste time on rules meant to restrain her curiosity. Her passion was exploring the unknown canyons and creating machines that could withstand the harshest parts of Aurora Prime. To her, life was about discovery, not fitting into someone else's idea of proper. Despite her independence, Lyra did attend social events. Tonight was one of them, a gala celebrating the expansion of human settlements on Aurora Prime. The Colony Council had invited everyone who contributed to the new projects: engineers, terraforming specialists, and explorers. Lyra walked into the grand hall. A dome-shaped building with transparent walls that gave a perfect view of the sunset outside. Aurora Prime's twin moons were rising, casting a soft silver light over the desert. People stared as she entered. Whispers followed her wherever she went. "There she is, untamable Lyra Vance," one woman murmured. Another man shook his head. "She'll never find a partner if she keeps acting like this." Lyra didn't respond. She moved gracefully through the crowd, nodding politely but keeping her focus on the exhibits. There were models of new colony modules, displays of sustainable water systems, and holograms showing potential settlements in the distant canyon regions. Lyra had contributed several of these designs herself. Then she noticed him. Cole Hawthorne stood near a model of an orbital livestock farm. He was tall, with a calm presence that made people naturally take notice. His dark hair fell slightly over his forehead, but it was his eyes that captured Lyra's attention, clear, steady, and thoughtful. He was not the type to boast or make loud statements. Instead, he observed the room quietly, as if he were taking in everything without being rushed by it. Cole's reputation preceded him. He was one of the wealthiest humans on Aurora Prime, his family owning vast orbital farms and terraforming operations. Most people assumed he would be arrogant, a man used to getting what he wanted, but there was a different energy about him tonight. He seemed genuinely interested in the exhibits, in the stories of those who built them. When he noticed Lyra, he gave her a small, respectful nod. She hesitated, unsure if she wanted to be seen at all. But something about his gaze was different from the others. He didn't judge, he didn't gossip. He only looked. "Lyra Vance," he said, walking toward her with a calm smile. "I've heard a lot about your work. The Canyon Stabilization Project, it's brilliant." Lyra blinked. She wasn't used to being complimented for her work in a social setting. Most people ignored her entirely or only whispered about her unwillingness to follow the traditional path. "Thank you," she replied cautiously. "And you are?" "Cole Hawthorne," he said, extending his hand. "I manage several projects on Aurora Prime. I think we could learn a lot from each other." Lyra studied his hand, noticing the sincerity in his gesture. Most men would have tried to impress her, to claim attention, or worse, to convince her to agree to a marriage contract. But Cole didn't. He simply offered a hand, a simple invitation to work together. Nothing more. "I'm not sure if working together is the right word," Lyra said, trying to mask her surprise. "I prefer to explore on my own." "Then perhaps we can explore together," Cole suggested lightly. with a smile that didn't pressure or demand. "There's a canyon network recently discovered, uncharted and dangerous. I would value your expertise." Lyra hesitated. She had dreamed of exploring that canyon for months. It was dangerous. Yes, no colony vehicles could navigate it without risking a total crash. But the thrill of discovery was irresistible. Still, she didn't usually partner with anyone, especially not someone so wealthy and influential. Partnerships often came with strings attached, but there was something in Cole's demeanor that felt different. No strings. No hidden agendas. Only curiosity and respect. "All right," she said finally, with a small nod. "But we do this on my terms." "Agreed," Cole said, his smile widening just slightly. "I wouldn't have it any other way." The rest of the evening passed in a blur of conversations and displays, but Lyra found her thoughts returning to the canyon and to Cole. He was not like anyone she had ever met. He didn't try to tame her spirit. He simply saw it, acknowledged it, and wanted to walk alongside it. As the gala wound down, the sky outside darkened. The twin moons casting a cool, silver light over the desert domes. Lyra stepped outside for a moment, breathing in the dry, cold air. She felt a rare sensation, anticipation, excitement, perhaps even hope. Cole joined her, without ceremony, placing a hand on the railing beside hers. "It's more beautiful than any hologram," he said, nodding toward the moonlit desert. "It's the kind of place that changes a person." Lyra glanced at him. "I've lived here my whole life. It's changed me already. Then imagine what it could do together," Cole replied softly, eyes meeting hers. There was no pressure, no expectation, just an acknowledgement that they could be partners, two people with courage, curiosity, and the freedom to choose their path. Lyra smiled faintly, a feeling stirring in her chest that she had long denied. Perhaps being untamable didn't mean she had to be alone. Perhaps it simply meant choosing carefully who could walk beside her. And for the first time, she wondered what it would be like to explore the uncharted canyons with someone who didn't try to control her, but who would be there if she needed support. Someone who saw her not as a challenge to conquer, but as a force to respect. As they stood together, watching the desert stretch endlessly into the horizon, Lyra realized that tonight marked the beginning of something new. She didn't know what lay ahead in the canyon, or how their partnership might change her life. But she knew one thing. She would face it on her own terms. With courage, curiosity, and, perhaps, a hand to hold. And that hand, Cole's hand, was offered not in ownership, but in respect. And for Lyra, that was more powerful than any contract, any label, any expectation the colony could ever impose. The next morning, Aurora Prime greeted Lyra with its familiar, golden light stretching across the desert plains. The twin moons had set, leaving a pale glow on the jagged mountains in the distance. The air was dry and sharp, carrying a hint of dust from the night winds. Lyra packed her exploration gear, her hands moving quickly but carefully over each tool, her mind alive with plans for the canyon. Cole arrived just as she finished checking her equipment. He had brought a hovercraft, sleek and sturdy, with enough room for supplies, mapping instruments, and life support systems. He had also brought a small, portable shelter that could withstand storms, showing he had not underestimated the dangers. "Ready?" Cole asked, his voice calm but carrying a quiet excitement. Lyra nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be." They climbed into the hovercraft, and Cole took the pilot seat. Lyra handled the navigation and technical systems, checking coordinates and scanning for hazards. As they lifted off the colony platform, the desert stretched below them like a golden ocean, the horizon dotted with mountains that glowed in the morning sun. The journey was longer than Lyra had expected. Aurora Prime's terrain was unforgiving, with sudden cliffs, deep canyons, and shifting sand dunes that could swallow a vehicle whole, if not navigated carefully. Cole maneuvered the hovercraft skillfully, his knowledge of the planet's geography evident in every turn. Lyra, in turn, monitored their systems, recalibrating sensors and engines to handle the canyon's unpredictable winds. "I've never seen anyone work a navigation console like that," Cole said, glancing at her with admiration. You make it look effortless. Lyra smiled faintly. Years of practice. You can't explore a planet like this without knowing your tools better than you know your own hands. Cole nodded. And yet most people don't even try. They stick to the colony, afraid of the unknown. You're different, Lyra. You don't just survive here, you thrive. Lyra felt a small warmth in her chest at his words. But she quickly masked it. She was used to admiration, often from people who wanted something from her. But Cole's admiration felt genuine, free of expectation. As the hours passed, the canyon grew closer, rising like a jagged scar across the desert floor. The entrance was narrow and dangerous, the wind howling through its rocky walls. Lyra's heart quickened with excitement. This was why she lived here, for moments like this, where discovery and danger danced together. Cole parked the hovercraft at the edge of the canyon, and they stepped out, feeling the immediate shift in temperature and pressure. The air here was cooler, tinged with the faint scent of minerals and ancient stone. Lyra activated her mapping equipment, sending drones to fly ahead, capturing data and images of the terrain. This canyon is unlike anything I've ever mapped, Lyra said, scanning the data streaming from the drones. The walls are taller, steeper, and the wind currents are unpredictable. We'll need to be careful. Cole nodded, adjusting his pack. We've handled worse, and we'll handle this too. Together. Lyra felt a flicker of something she had not allowed herself in years. Trust. She had always relied on her own skills, her own strength, but now, with Cole beside her, she felt a sense of partnership, not dependence, but mutual respect. They descended into the canyon, moving carefully along a narrow path. The walls towered above them, casting long shadows that shifted as the sun moved. The drones flew ahead, sending back images of the twists and turns, highlighting areas where the terrain became unstable. Lyra adjusted their route, recalculating paths, and making tiny modifications to their hovercraft's movement to account for wind gusts. Hours passed as they navigated deeper into the canyon. The silence was profound, broken only by the hum of the hovercraft and the occasional whisper of wind against rock. It was a peaceful silence, yet charged with tension, the tension of the unknown. Lyra felt alive, more awake than she had in years. Cole walked beside her when they paused to rest, offering water and a small ration of protein bars. You work so hard, he said, observing her with genuine concern. Do you ever take a moment to just breathe? Lyra laughed softly, shaking her head. Breathing is for the moments when danger isn't staring at you. But I suppose there's time for it now. She drank the water, feeling its coolness refresh her. You seem calm, even here. Aren't you nervous? Cole smiled faintly. I trust the preparation, and I trust my partner. Lyra blinked, caught off guard. She had not expected to be called a partner. The word carried weight, but in a way that made her chest feel light. She nodded slowly, not saying anything, simply appreciating the sentiment. As they continued, they discovered something extraordinary. The canyon walls were etched with strange patterns, not natural formations, but carvings ancient and precise. Lyra's eyes widened as she examined them. These aren't human, she whispered. They're too old and too deliberate. Cole leaned closer, studying the carvings. Whoever made these, they had knowledge we don't. Perhaps the first explorers of Aurora Prime. Lyra's mind raced. These carvings could hold secrets, knowledge about the planet, its history, even techniques for surviving its extremes. She immediately began documenting them, scanning and storing data. This changes everything, Lyra said, excitement sparkling in her voice. We could learn so much from this. We could learn so much from this. Cole watched her, a small smile playing on his lips. You're amazing, Lyra. The way you see possibilities. It's inspiring. For a moment, the canyon, the carvings, and the distant winds faded. It was just the two of them, standing together in the quiet majesty of the ancient place. Lyra realized that she had never worked with anyone who truly understood her, someone who respected her skill and shared her excitement for discovery. The sun began to set, casting the canyon in hues of orange and violet. The shadows lengthened, making the path ahead harder to see. Lyra adjusted their equipment, setting up lights and sensors for the night. Cole helped her, moving with care and attention, never overstepping, never interfering. As darkness settled over the canyon, a faint wind stirred. The sound was eerie, yet beautiful. A constant reminder that they were alone in this vast, untouched place. Lyra checked the shelter they had brought, making sure it was secure. Cole handed her a small cup of warm drink. "Here, you need to rest, too." Lyra accepted it, feeling the warmth spread through her hands. "Thank you." She looked at him, unsure why, but feeling a connection she hadn't anticipated. "I appreciate having you here. I usually do this alone, and yet, you allowed me to join," Cole said softly. "That means something." Lyra looked away, scanning the canyon walls bathed in moonlight. "It does. But don't mistake it. I'm still me. Independent. Untamable." Cole chuckled quietly. "I wouldn't have it any other way. I just want to walk beside you. Not in front or behind. Just beside." Lyra felt a small smile tug at her lips. She didn't often let anyone in, especially not emotionally. But Cole, he was different. He didn't try to control her. He didn't impose expectations. He simply acknowledged her strength and intelligence. The night passed with them taking turns resting and monitoring the equipment. Lyra watched the stars through the canyon's narrow opening, thinking about the journey ahead. There were risks. Aurora Prime was unforgiving, and the canyon was only the beginning of what they might face. But she felt ready, not because she was fearless, but because she had someone who respected her by her side. As she finally drifted into a light sleep, Lyra realized that exploration was no longer just about discovering the planet. It was also about discovering connection, trust, and the unexpected joy of walking through life with someone who sees you as you truly are. And in the quiet of the canyon, under the light of twin moons, she felt something rare. A flicker of hope, a sense of partnership, and the understanding that being untamable didn't mean she had to be alone. It just meant she could choose who walked beside her. The canyon stretched endlessly before Lyra and Cole, twisting and turning like a living maze. Each bend revealed a new wonder. Cliffs that shimmered in the sunlight, natural bridges arching over deep crevices, and strange, glowing minerals embedded in the rock. Aurora Prime's harsh landscape was beautiful, even breathtaking, and Lyra felt a thrill every time her eyes fell on something new. Cole walked beside her, careful not to step on loose stones, his presence steady and reassuring. Unlike others she had met, he didn't feel the need to control the pace or make decisions for her. He respected her expertise, and Lyra felt a surprising sense of ease being near him. They paused at a small plateau overlooking a deep chasm. The view was stunning: walls of stone dropping hundreds of meters to a winding river of crystallized minerals that glowed faintly in the sunlight. Lyra set down her equipment and took a moment to breathe, the crisp air filling her lungs. "This is incredible," she said softly. "I never imagined anything like this existed on Aurora Prime." Cole smiled, leaning on a rock beside her. "It's easy to miss the beauty when you're always looking for danger." Lyra glanced at him, noting the quiet calm in his eyes. "You seem fearless," she said. "Even here, where everything could go wrong." Cole shook his head. "Not fearless. Careful. And confident in my partner." He nodded toward her, and for a brief moment, Lyra felt a warmth she couldn't quite explain. She was used to people underestimating her, judging her independence as stubbornness. But Cole, he seemed to understand. As they continued, Lyra noticed something unusual. On a narrow ledge, partially hidden by shadows, were faint carvings, symbols unlike any she had seen before. Her pulse quickened. "Look at this," she said, kneeling to examine them. Cole crouched beside her. "More alien markings?" "Yes," Lyra replied. "But these are different. They're older, more precise. Whoever made them, they understood this canyon better than any human ever could." They spent the next hours documenting the carvings, scanning them with drones and carefully recording every detail. Lyra's mind raced with possibilities. Ancient explorers might have left clues about the planet's weather patterns, safe routes through the canyon, or even methods for finding hidden resources. This discovery could change everything about human colonization on Aurora Prime. Cole watched her work, quietly impressed. "You're amazing," he said. "The way you see the world. You find patterns others miss." Lyra felt her cheeks warm. Compliments like that were rare, especially ones that didn't carry hidden meaning. "Thank you," she said softly, focusing back on the carvings. As the sun began to set, painting the canyon walls in shades of orange and purple, they prepared to make camp. Lyra set up the shelter while Cole gathered firewood and checked the hovercraft. The canyon was vast and beautiful, but it was also unpredictable. They had to be prepared for sudden storms or shifting terrain. That night, sitting together in the small shelter, Lyra found herself opening up in a way she rarely did. "I've always worked alone," she admitted, staring at the glowing mineral wall. "I thought I didn't need anyone. But today, having you here, it feels different." Cole smiled gently. "I don't want to change you, Lyra. I only want to walk beside you. That's all." Lyra felt a lump in her throat. She had spent so long defending her independence that she had forgotten what it felt like to trust someone completely. "I don't know if I'm ready," she said quietly. "I've always been untamable. And that's why I admire you," Cole said. "Being untamable doesn't mean being alone. It just means choosing carefully who you let in." Lyra looked at him, seeing sincerity in his eyes. For the first time, she felt the possibility of something new, not a restriction, not a cage, but a partnership built on respect and trust. The night passed peacefully, the twin moons casting silver light through the canyon's opening. Lyra lay awake for a while, thinking about the carvings and the journey ahead. The canyon was full of mysteries, and she was eager to explore them. But more than that, she thought about Cole, the calm, steady presence beside her, and realized that she wanted him there, not to control her, not to demand anything, but simply to share the adventure. The next morning, they continued deeper into the canyon. The terrain grew more challenging, with narrow ledges and steep drops. Lyra navigated with care, adjusting the hovercraft's balance and monitoring their drones. Cole followed her instructions without hesitation, showing patience and respect for her decisions. They reached a section of the canyon where the walls were so close together that sunlight barely touched the ground. Strange crystals jutted out from the rock, refracting light in rainbow patterns. Lyra knelt to scan them, marveling at their beauty. "These crystals, they could be useful," she said. "Energy storage, or even as a source for our colony systems." Cole observed her work with quiet admiration. "You see potential everywhere," he said. "It's inspiring." Lyra smiled faintly, feeling a connection growing between them. "It's not just about seeing potential. It's about understanding it, feeling it." Cole nodded. "And you do it so naturally. That's why I wanted to come with you. Not to interfere, but to learn from you, and to support you." As they moved further, the canyon opened into a wide basin. In the center was a shallow lake, its surface reflecting the glowing minerals from the canyon walls. Lyra and Cole approached cautiously, knowing the terrain could hide surprises, but the lake was calm, almost magical, and Lyra couldn't resist taking a moment to admire it. "This place," she whispered, "it feels alive, like it's waiting for someone to understand it." Cole smiled, standing beside her. "And you are understanding it. That's why you're amazing, Lyra. You don't just explore. You connect with it." For a while, they worked together mapping the basin, taking samples of minerals and water, documenting everything. Lyra marveled at how natural it felt to have Cole beside her. He didn't try to overshadow her or take credit. He simply assisted, asked questions, and respected her expertise. As the sun dipped below the canyon walls, they set up camp near the lake. Lyra tended to the shelter, while Cole gathered wood and prepared a small meal. The two sat together, eating quietly and watching the reflection of the twin moons in the water. Cole broke the silence. "Lyra, can I ask you something?" "Cole." She looked at him, curious. "Of course. Do you ever wonder what it would be like to share this journey with someone? Not as a guide or a partner in exploration, but as more?" Lyra's heart skipped a beat. She had never been asked that before. Most people assumed her independence meant she didn't want companionship. But now, hearing Cole's words, she realized she did want someone to share her life with, someone who respected her, challenged her, and walked beside her as an equal. I don't know," she admitted softly. "I've always been so focused on surviving, exploring, proving myself. I never thought about it." Cole reached out, gently taking her hand. "I'm not asking for anything you're not ready to give. I just want you to know I'm here, and I respect you. That's all." Lyra felt a warmth spread through her chest. She squeezed his hand gently, realizing that being untamable didn't mean being alone. It meant choosing who to trust, who to walk beside, and who could see her strength without trying to change it. As they sat together, watching the stars emerge in the clear night sky, Lyra felt something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. Hope for discovery, for connection, and for the adventures that lay ahead. She didn't know what challenges the canyon would bring, but she knew one thing: she would face them with Cole beside her, as a partner, as a friend, and perhaps something more. And in that quiet moment, under the twin moons of Aurora Prime, Lyra realized that she was not just exploring the planet. She was exploring herself, her courage, her trust, and her heart. And for the first time, she felt that her untamable spirit could coexist with the possibility of companionship. The canyon awaited, full of secrets and wonders. But Lyra and Cole, side by side, were ready to face it all, discovering not only the mysteries of the world, but the depths of their own hearts. The morning light filtered softly through the narrow canyon walls, casting long shadows across the rocky terrain. Lyra awoke first, as was her habit, and immediately checked their equipment. The hovercraft was fine, the sensors stable, and the drones fully charged. Everything appeared normal. Yet Lyra's instincts told her that the canyon had more surprises in store. Cole stirred beside her, rubbing his eyes. "Morning," he said, his voice calm as always. "Sleep well?" Lyra nodded, still scanning her instruments. "Yes, but we need to be careful today. The canyon is changing faster than I expected. Some of the walls are eroding." Cole stood and stretched. "Then we'll adapt. That's what we do." Together, they packed their camp and continued deeper into the canyon. The terrain became more challenging. Jagged rocks jutted out from the walls, and narrow ledges forced them to move slowly and carefully. Lyra's drones flew ahead, mapping every twist and turn, while Cole followed her instructions perfectly, offering support without questioning her decisions. Hours into their journey, they stumbled upon a strange formation, a cluster of smooth, white stones arranged in patterns that didn't seem natural. Lyra crouched, examining them carefully. "These aren't just stones," she said, awe in her voice. "They're markers. Someone, or something, left them here intentionally." Cole leaned in, observing the patterns. "Do you think they're connected to the carvings we found earlier?" "Most likely," Lyra replied. "This canyon was explored before us, by someone with knowledge we don't yet understand. These markers, they could indicate safe paths, or hidden resources." As they continued, the canyon grew darker, the walls towering above them and blocking sunlight. Lyra's scanners picked up movement ahead, small shifts in the rock and faint echoes that suggested instability. "We need to be extra careful," she warned. "The canyon could change at any moment." Cole nodded, his calm presence grounding her. "Lead the way," he said. They advanced slowly, the hovercraft gliding over narrow ledges and rocky slopes. Then, without warning, a small rock slide occurred ahead, blocking their path. Dust and pebbles tumbled down, creating a miniature wall of obstacles. Lyra quickly assessed the situation, her mind racing through possible solutions. "We can't go forward," she said, her voice tight but steady. "But we can reroute through a side path over there." She pointed to a narrow opening partially hidden behind a rock formation. "It's riskier, but it's our only option." Cole studied the path, then nodded. "I trust your judgment. Let's do it." Together, they navigated the alternate route. Lyra guided the hovercraft with precision, adjusting for loose rocks and sudden drops. Cole followed her instructions exactly, his calm confidence allowing them to move smoothly despite the danger. As they reached a small plateau, Lyra's drones picked up another unusual feature: a natural amphitheater carved into the canyon walls, filled with ancient markings and symbols. She gasped softly. This is incredible. It's like a hidden library of knowledge." Cole joined her, eyes wide with wonder. "The people who came before us, they understood this planet in ways we're only beginning to learn." Lyra nodded, scanning the symbols. "We need to document everything. These markings could hold solutions for surviving Aurora Prime's harshest areas, maybe even techniques for sustainable colonization." As they worked, Lyra felt a subtle shift in her thoughts. The canyon, the carvings, the hidden markers, all of it demanded collaboration, trust, and patience. She realized that her independence didn't mean rejecting help. It meant choosing partners who respected her abilities, and Cole was that partner. Hours passed, and the canyon's challenges grew. The path became narrower, requiring them to carefully maneuver the hovercraft along tight ledges. The wind picked up, whipping dust and small stones into the air. Lyra adjusted the controls, focusing on precision, while Cole steadied her when the hovercraft rocked slightly. Suddenly, the canyon opened into a wide basin, revealing a breathtaking sight: a crystal-clear lake reflecting the jagged cliffs around it. Lyra's eyes widened. "It's beautiful," she whispered, "like it's untouched by time." Cole smiled beside her. "It's amazing. And dangerous. The terrain around it looks unstable." Lyra nodded, scanning the area with her instruments. "We'll need to test the soil before setting up camp. One wrong step could trigger another landslide." As they worked, Lyra noticed something strange. The lake's surface shimmered unusually, as if something beneath it was reflecting light. She leaned closer, curious. "There's movement under the water," she said. "Something's living there, something we haven't discovered yet." Cole crouched beside her, eyes following hers. "Aurora Prime never stops surprising us," he said softly. They spent the afternoon observing the lake, taking samples of water and soil, while carefully avoiding disturbing the ecosystem. Lyra's mind raced with ideas for research and innovation techniques for harnessing the minerals, understanding the local flora, and mapping safe routes through the canyon. Cole assisted her at every step, not because he had to, but because he genuinely wanted to learn and support her efforts. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the basin, Lyra and Cole prepared to set up camp. The wind picked up again, and the canyon's walls echoed with a soft, eerie sound. Lyra double-checked their equipment, ensuring everything was secure. Cole gathered firewood and helped assemble the shelter, moving with care and efficiency. Once camp was ready, they sat together near the lake, enjoying a small meal. Silence stretched between them, but it was comfortable, filled with the shared sense of achievement and wonder. Cole broke the silence. "Lyra, I want you to know something." She looked at him, curious. "What?" "I admire you. Not just for your skill, but for your courage, your independence, and your mind. Being untamable doesn't make you difficult, it makes you extraordinary, and I want to be part of that, if you'll let me." Lyra felt her heart beat faster. She had always been wary of attachments, afraid they would limit her freedom. But Cole's words were different. They carried no pressure, no expectation, only respect and admiration. I don't know what to say," she admitted. "I've spent so long being on my own that I forgot what it feels like to trust someone completely." Cole reached out, gently taking her hand. "Then, let's take it slow. No pressure. Just partnership. Lyra squeezed his hand, a small smile forming. Partnership, I like that. As night fell, they watched the twin moons rise above the canyon walls. The lake reflected their light, shimmering like a pool of silver fire. Lyra felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years, a feeling of connection, not just to the planet, but to another human being who truly understood her. But the canyon was not done testing them. In the middle of the night, a faint rumble echoed through the cliffs. Lyra awoke immediately, her instincts sharp. She scanned the sensors, small tremors, likely caused by shifting rocks. "Cole," she whispered. "We need to be ready. The canyon is unstable here." Cole was already awake, his calm demeanor grounding her. "We'll handle it," he said quietly. "Together." Lyra nodded, grateful for his steady presence. The tremors were minor, but they served as a reminder that Aurora Prime was unpredictable. Their success depended not only on skill and intelligence, but on trust, teamwork, and careful observation. The rest of the night passed without incident, but the sense of vigilance remained. Lyra realized that the canyon was not just testing their physical abilities, it was testing their ability to rely on each other, to communicate, and to respect each other's strengths. By morning, Lyra felt a deeper bond forming between them. She had always thought of herself as untamable, as someone who had to face the world alone. But now she understood that being untamable didn't mean rejecting help. It meant choosing who to trust, who to walk beside, and who could see her strength without trying to control it. And in that understanding, she found not only confidence but a rare sense of joy. The canyon was still full of mysteries, and their journey was far from over. But Lyra knew one thing for certain. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she and Cole would face them side by side, as partners, equals, and perhaps something more. The morning sun rose over the canyon, spilling golden light across the jagged cliffs. Lyra stretched, feeling the cool breeze against her face. Last night had been quiet, but the canyon still held its secrets. Today, she and Cole would push deeper, seeking the heart of the hidden basin they had discovered. Cole was already up, examining the hovercraft and checking the drones. He looked up as Lyra approached, smiling. "Ready for the final stretch?" Lyra nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "More than ready. Let's see what this canyon is hiding." They packed their equipment carefully, ensuring all samples, scans, and documents were secure. The path ahead was steep, twisting through narrow ledges and over rocky outcrops. The drones flew ahead, mapping the terrain and alerting them to unstable sections. Lyra guided the hovercraft expertly, making split-second adjustments as Cole navigated beside her. Hours passed as they carefully moved through the canyon. They discovered hidden caves, each filled with minerals and carvings that spoke of the planet's history. Lyra's scanners picked up faint traces of energy sources in the walls, strange formations that could be harnessed for sustainable power. Cole watched her work, amazed at her skill and dedication. "You're incredible," he said quietly. "The way you understand this planet. It's inspiring." Lyra smiled, grateful but focused. "I've spent my life learning from Aurora Prime. Every rock, every canyon, every wind current teaches something new. You just have to pay attention." As they reached the deepest part of the canyon, they found something extraordinary. A hidden chamber, carved into the rock, large enough to walk inside. The walls glowed faintly with embedded crystals, casting a soft light over strange symbols and markings. Lyra's eyes widened. "This is a library of knowledge," she whispered. "The explorers before us left their discoveries here. All of it, preserved for those who can understand it." Cole stepped closer, equally awed. "Imagine what this means for human colonization. Sustainable settlements, energy sources, guidance for surviving the harshest areas." Lyra nodded, already scanning the walls and taking detailed notes. She felt a thrill, unlike any she had experienced before. Every discovery was a step closer to unlocking the planet's secrets. And now, with Cole by her side, she didn't feel the weight of responsibility alone. After hours of exploration and documentation, they prepared to leave the hidden chamber. Lyra carefully secured her data and samples, while Cole checked their hovercraft. The canyon was still unpredictable, but their preparations and teamwork had made them confident. As they emerged into the open canyon, the sun was beginning to set, casting warm light across the cliffs. Lyra felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The journey had tested her skill, patience, and courage, but it had also taught her something more important: trust, companionship, and the joy of sharing discovery with someone who respected her completely. "Cole," she said softly, "thank you. Not just for helping with the canyon, but for being here, for seeing me." Cole looked at her, his eyes steady and kind. "I didn't need to see anything else. You're remarkable, Lyra. Being untamable doesn't mean being alone. It means choosing carefully who walks beside you. And I choose to walk beside you." Lyra felt a warmth spread through her chest. For years, she had resisted the idea of partnership, afraid it would limit her freedom. But now she realized that the right person didn't restrict her. They strengthened her, complemented her, and shared her journey. They returned to the colony with their discoveries, each step bringing anticipation. Word had already spread about their expedition, and excitement buzzed through the settlement. The council had scheduled a presentation to showcase their findings, inviting other engineers, scientists, and explorers. Lyra and Cole entered the presentation hall, their equipment and documentation ready. The crowd murmured with curiosity and admiration as she began her presentation. She spoke clearly and confidently, explaining the canyon, the hidden chamber, the ancient markings, and the potential applications for the colony. Her voice carried authority, tempered with humility. She highlighted the importance of understanding Aurora Prime's challenges while respecting the planet's unique ecosystems. She explained how the discoveries could guide future settlements, improve energy efficiency, and ensure sustainability. Cole watched from the side, proud but unobtrusive. He had given her the space to shine, knowing that her brilliance needed no spotlight other than her own. The council and attendees listened intently, asking questions that Lyra answered with clarity and depth. The excitement in the room grew as they realized the magnitude of the discoveries. These findings could change life on Aurora Prime forever. When the presentation ended, the crowd erupted in applause. Lyra felt a surge of pride, not just for herself, but for the journey she and Cole had shared. She glanced at him, and he smiled warmly, giving her a nod of encouragement. After the crowd dispersed, Cole approached her. "You were amazing," he said softly. "They can't ignore what you've done. You've proven yourself not just to them, but to yourself." Lyra smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment she hadn't known she could experience. "Thank you, Cole. For everything. I don't think I could have done this without you." Cole reached out, offering his hand. "Then walk with me, Lyra. Not as a guide. Not as someone to tame you, but as someone who respects and admires you. Choose me, if you want to." Lyra looked at his hand, and for the first time, she felt no hesitation. She had spent her life proving her independence, her courage, and her skill. Now, she could choose someone to share her journey with, someone who would walk beside her. Not ahead or behind, but beside her as an equal. Slowly, deliberately, she placed her hand in his. "I choose you," she said, her voice steady but full of emotion. Cole's smile widened, and he squeezed her hand gently. It was a simple gesture, yet it carried all the weight of trust, partnership, and shared adventure. The colony celebrated their discoveries over the following days, but Lyra's mind often drifted back to the canyon. She thought about the hidden chamber, the carvings, and the lake, the wonders of Aurora Prime that awaited future explorers. And she thought about the journey she had shared with Cole, and the bond that had grown stronger with every challenge they faced. For Lyra, being untamable didn't mean being alone. It meant choosing wisely, who could walk beside her, who could see her strength and freedom without trying to change it. And in Cole, she had found someone who could do just that. Together, they began planning new expeditions, mapping unknown regions, studying strange ecosystems, and unlocking secrets that would benefit all of humanity on Aurora Prime. Lyra's heart was full of excitement, not just for the discoveries, but for the journey itself with Cole beside her, as a partner, a friend, and something more. Aurora Prime was a planet of challenges, surprises, and endless beauty. And Lyra Vance, the untamable engineer and explorer, had found her place not just in the world, but alongside someone who truly understood her. The canyon still whispered its secrets, waiting for the next explorers to venture inside. But Lyra and Cole were ready. Together, they would face the unknown, discovering not just the mysteries of a distant planet, but the joy of companionship, trust, and shared adventure. And in the quiet glow of the twin moons, with the canyon stretching endlessly around them, Lyra realized that her journey was just beginning, and this time, she would never have to walk alone.